Good evening. I would like to first, I'm Glenn Roby. I'm the president of the DeKalb Area Rental Association, and I'm the moderator of tonight's event. I would like to first welcome and thank all of you all for being here tonight. The candidates, obviously, who we're all here to hear from, family, friends, and special guests. I'd also like to thank Verandas for providing the space that we're having this event in tonight. As always, they do a very nice job, and we're appreciative of their support. The DeKalb Area Rental Association, also known as DARA, and the DeKalb Area Builders Association, known as DABA, are pleased to present this forum as an educational and informational benefit to its members. We thank the candidates for meeting with us tonight and presenting their positions on concerns vital to our community. Of note, we will be hosting a Meet the Candidates night on March 20th for the DeKalb School Board. Also, please note that this event is being recorded, both audio and video, and this will be put on social media at some time in the very near future. I'm going to review kind of the rules of engagement for this evening. The candidates shall be respectful of each other, and the audience shall treat each candidate with decorum and respect. The candidates will have an introductory 4 minutes to present information on the candidate's background and position. The candidates will be asked to participate in a Q&A period and will last approximately 80 minutes. The questions will be directed to all candidates. No response may exceed 2 minutes in length. At 60 seconds, a yellow paddle will rise. Person that is Chuck, who's got the paddle, Chuck Shepard. So everyone knows where the paddle is and what you should be dialed into. 120 seconds, a red paddle will rise. And that means you're done. The first question will be asked by the moderators, submitted by DARA and DABA members. Additional questions will be read from note cards handed in the form of from the audience. So those cards were turned into Will Heinisch. He has those cards, Will. Okay, there's Will, so the cards should have been already turned. Your questions to him. A candidate may decline to answer a question without explanation or may use the time to follow up on a previous question or comment. After Q&A sessions have finished, each candidate will be allowed to present a summation of their positions or to clarify a particular response. No summation may exceed 3 minutes in length. So that's the fun stuff. Now we get to the really good stuff. We have the candidates before us. The first question will be asked of the candidate at the end, and then we'll go, and then the next question will be asked of the second candidate, and the third, so that everybody gets a rotation of going first in answering a question. With that being said, with 4 minutes as the time, I'm going to ask each candidate, starting in order, to stand and give their 4-minute introduction. You can use the mic in front of you, yes. So it's at the bottom. Is the on-off switch? So they all should be on. Corn Barnes.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank Dara and Dawa for putting on this event. I also want to thank my fellow candidates for stepping up and wanting to serve what is an absolutely wonderful community, the city of DeKalb. If you don't know me, I grew up in DeKalb. I'm a graduate of DeKalb High School, graduated from Kishwaukee College, from Northern Illinois University. I believe black and red, black and green, and black and orange to my core. Only time I left the city of DeKalb was to serve in the U.S. military. I served for 3 years, got out, was actually called back in for Desert Storm, but ultimately I came back to the city of DeKalb to continue my education and also raise 2 children in the city of DeKalb that I'm incredibly proud of that went through the DeKalb School District. And my wife Amy's here in the audience as well. Thank you for everything that she does. You can imagine I can't do this alone. She's been an incredible supporter of everything that I've done. But I raised my family here. I have a business of 30 years. I employ about 30 people here downtown DeKalb, within the city of DeKalb. This community has been so good to myself and to my family. and I felt absolutely obligated to give back to it. In the last 20 years, that's exactly what I've done. I've served on a variety of nonprofits. I've served on the DeKalb School Board for 4 years. I have served as president of the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. I've served as president of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation. And then, of course, I've served the last 4 years as mayor. During that time, the day one when I was sworn in, we initiated the process of removing Hunter Hillcrest, the building on the corner of Hillcrest and Andy Glidden, if you remember it, because it was a very problematic property. That was one of my goals, was public safety, and for the last 4 years, I've really focused on that. We have hired 28 new first responders since I've been mayor as well. That's 14 new firefighters, net new, increased, and 14 police officers as well. But I'm especially proud that we embedded 2 social workers into 2 of our shifts with our police department to address those in need and the situations that come up that they have. We also have been spending, before I took office, we were spending $700,000 in our roads. Since I took office that first year, we've spent over $2.5 million each and every year on our roads, replacing them since we were so far behind. And next year, I'm proud to say we have budget to spend $4.5 million on resurfacing our roads. So that infrastructure has been incredibly important, as well as working on the lead pipes that we have in our community. Something I'm particularly proud of, though, is when you think of everything going on the south side of DeKalb, I was president of the DeKalb Chamber, DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, and Bill Nicholas was my vice president 2 years before I became mayor. He and I have been working on how can we make DeKalb more business friendly and attract industry like we're seeing on the south side of town. And it's been magical to actually see that all transpire. The jobs it's created, permanent jobs, construction jobs that it's created, but also what's happened is it's allowed us to actually have revenue for all of our taxing bodies while holding the taxpayer harmless. Since I've been mayor, we went from an aggregate tax rate of 11.5%, and next year we're going to be 8.1%. That's going to stimulate economic development, but it's also making it cheaper for all of us to be able to live here in the city of DeKalb, which is just fantastic. But we've also invested over $900,000 in our community in services that people need that are underserved, which I'm incredibly proud of. Should I be reelected, I'm going to continue the trend of economic growth. I'm going to continue the trend of job growth. I'm going to continue championing that the taxpayer has to be part of conversations with every single taxing body in the city of DeKalb in order to make sure that we continue to drive this idea and concept that it's more affordable to live in the city of DeKalb. And ultimately, I'm just really excited to answer the questions here with Dara and Daba and to engage with you all. Thank you.
Next up, we have Barb Larson.
I too would like to thank Dara and Daba for hosting this event and giving all of us a chance to talk to and meet with the residents of DeKalb. I'm Barb Larson. I'm 2nd Ward Alderman. My family moved here in 2000 from a farm in Maple Park, where we are still part of the family farm. In 2000, we could have moved into several towns in the area, but we chose DeKalb, and we have never looked back. We often remark that was one of the best life choices. We love DeKalb. 4 years ago, I was asked to run for this position and was elected by the wonderful people of the 2nd Ward. I got to meet so many residents and the employees of DeKalb that keep this city running, keeping it safe, helping in all emergencies. I fell in love with DeKalb all over again. And that's what this is all about, DeKalb. Not blue, not red, just the people and what's best for our city. To me, being an alderman isn't just about attending 2 meetings a month. It's about supporting our police and fire departments by attending new hires being pinned because they too chose DeKalb, receiving promotions because they chose to stay in DeKalb, and by saying goodbye as they retire from DeKalb. Showing these departments that the council supports them in the sacrifices and that they and their families make week in and week out, keeping us safe, is very important to me. Stopping by the water and street departments to thank them for being out. Would you like to work in the streets like yesterday? I think not. Or in July, count me out. Pushing snow, fixing water mains, replacing lead pipes into your houses, keeping you safe. They're doing it for us all the time, and I want to thank them for that. and is supporting the residents of the Second Ward and all of DeKalb by doing my homework before every meeting. Sometimes we have almost 1,000 pages. Now, there's some duplicates, I'll grant you that. But this makes my vote based on data, and it respects everybody at City Hall who produces this pages of background that gives us the information we need to make reliable choices for all of you. I would love to give more money for streets and vehicles and social services and personnel, the list goes on, and also to have the lowest property taxes anywhere. Oh wait, we do. But we try to find a balance among all those things, just like you have to do with your budgets at home. I love helping out the residents and their questions and problems. I find working one-on-one the best and quickest way to help them out, which is why I haven't had a warden. Call me, I answer my phone all the time, even when there's creeps on the other end that you have to spam them. I answer. Most of the time, I'll meet with you, take pictures, find out the problem, find the right people. In 24 hours, you'll have your answer of what the timeline is. Finally, 4 years ago, when I ran for this position, I didn't know there was a salary attached. I was going to do this job for free. My husband and I have made the decision 4 years ago that we take all that money, the salary, and we give it back to DeKalb and all the 501(c)(3)s that help support this. And so we've done Barb City Food Mart, we've done Barb City Manor, Family Service Agency, the list goes on. And it's fun meeting them and helping them out. So in the last 4 years, I feel we've done a lot. We've made a lot of changes, a lot of good changes, but there's a lot more to do, and I'd be honored to be able to do it again for the next 4 years. Thank you.
I'm assuming I'm going to be next you to announce.
I was just getting ready to do it, and you popped up. So, Michael Emery.
First of all, my name is Michael Emery. Thank you, and I would also like to thank the DARA people and the DEVA people for hosting this, and very importantly, the success of the political people play a major impact to that organization. If they don't have good political people, they're not going to be able to succeed. I'm really proud to be a child of the greatest generation. I grew up in a small town in southern Missouri and was taught at an early age to be respectful and honest. We were not poor, we just didn't have any money. But with that, I learned the ethics of how to work hard. The only way you're going to get something is working hard. My big dream was to go to college, and knew that the only way I could was being very successful academically, and by that I started working 2 jobs, and from that I received a scholarship at the University of Illinois. I was able to go to college for 2 years before I ran out of money, and at that time it was the Vietnam War, for those who are in conflict. And for those that know, I realized I could serve 2 things. I could serve my country and get the GI Bill. I was in the United States Air Force band for 4 years. Got out, finished my first degree. Ironically enough, I was offered a job at Northern University as a band director. I was the youngest band director in the nation. I was 27 years old. And yes, I was dumb as a box of rocks, but I came here because I really love music. I was going to teach for 3 years and then leave and go back to Chicago and pursue my professional music career. Ironically, after 3 years, I kind of fell in love with the kids, and I enjoyed the band, and as Jerry will say, I got pretty good at it, and I decided to stay. I taught for 10 years. At the conclusion, I decided I wanted to go back into the professional career, and so I left NIU. With that, the one thing that was important to me, where was I going to go? I decided to stay in DeKalb because, to me, this was a hallmark community. This was the kind of community you wanted to stay and be with, and you're only an hour from each airport, so you could take off if you had to. So I stayed in DeKalb and started my own business. So the past 40 years, I've run a tour and travel business, an entertainment business. I've been involved with both regional and national tourism organizations. I am on the board of directors for 3 tourism organizations, including Northern Illinois and Chicago, as well as in DeKalb. I've been involved with several military organizations. I've recently received a state award from the state of Illinois for Veteran of the Year for 21, 22, and 24. No, I didn't miss 23. In 23, I was the National Veteran of the Year. But with that, I took a lot of pride working with Jerry and with Cohen and creating the 2023 City of DeKalb Veteran of the Year for the state of Illinois, and we actually won the national award. It goes quick on this. I've been a member of the Chamber for 30 years, serving on the board of directors, been awarded the status of a Hall of Fame member. The one thing is very important, fancy resumes and all these details we're talking about, that's not what it's about. It's about somebody who's going to do the job. Somebody's going to be able to stand up and say, I'm going to take responsibility. You can put all the accolades you want. You can put all the titles you want. You can put all the trophies and awards. That's not going to make a successful civil servant. We want to be there to serve the people. That's what it's about. Thank you.
John Walker.
So I don't really prepare a lot. I just like speaking to people because I do this every day. For some of you guys who don't know me, my name's John Walker. I'm the 7th Ward Alderman. Can you guys hear me? I'm the 7th Ward Alderman. Well, let me start. I'm born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. I ended up having to go to Canidates to play football. Played down there for a year and a half. Football, I was done with it. My best friend at the time lived in DeKalb, and he would be like, well, instead of going back to Indianapolis, why don't you come down to DeKalb, see where I grew up. And I was like, DeKalb? I was like, I've never heard of it. And he's like, NIU? I'm like, no, I haven't heard of it. So I went down here, and I've been here ever since. My life has been on a roller coaster, and I just keep going like this. But the one thing that I can tell you is, I came here as a 19-year-old punk. I thought I knew everything, like my grandmother used to always tell me. I had every answer, like my kids do now. But the best thing to ever happen to me in my life was getting a job at UPS. And real quick, so my freshman basketball coach used to always tell us. One day we had practice, and he said, the day after Thanksgiving, we had practice at 4 in the morning. I'm thinking 4 in the morning. I've never seen 4 in the morning on any clock in my entire life. But he said to us, and I remember half asleep, he goes, you guys will thank me one day, because one day you'll get a job, and your job will start at 4:30, 5 in the morning. And I'm like, there's just no way I'm ever doing that. Come to find out, all right, so I lost my football scholarship within DeKalb. My grandmother and mom told me, you're on your own, figure it out, and hung up on me. That made me become a man real quick. So guess what I do? I take my tail down to UPS, fill the application out, got a call back a week later, and guess what time? My job started on Monday morning, 3:30. So, I done that, for 2 years, and then one day I was able to go driving. And the one thing that I can tell you, that's when my life changed. Like, everybody in here, I've seen multiple times throughout my life, throughout my career, working. I've done a lot of things in this community for kids. I have 4 great kids in the community. My youngest one's in DeKalb High. My second youngest just got done wrapping up playing football 2 years ago for NIU, which I will say he has 2 school records. And I have 2 twin boys that are 25 who make me feel old that work for the Target Distribution Center. So I'm vetted in DeKalb. And you don't have to grow up here. You don't have to be born here to love DeKalb. DeKalb has made me the man that I am today. And you guys are a big part of who I am. I see Tom Weaver in the crowd. Tom and I started a football program in Sycamore with help. I came to DeKalb. I started various foundations and sports clubs for kids in the area because I wanted to get some of these kids, off the streets. And I think I've done that. And I hate saying what I've done because it takes a lot in the community to get people to where they're at. And basically, I just want to say I'm just overwhelmed with sending kids to college and just seeing them prosper. It's not really about me. It's never about me. It's about our community. And like Cohen and Barb Larson said, we've done a lot on city council. I don't want to repeat it. He said what needed to be said. But the one thing I want everybody to know that I love this community with all my heart, and I plan on never going anywhere. And I plan to be one of the mayors that sticks around for 4 to 8 terms. Thank you.
Call me son.
Well, let me relax a little bit because I'm very nervous. That's why I wrote this about me. So I want to try to paint a picture of me the best I can. Okay, so you know who I am and what I stand for. So my name is Kwame Sanen, and I've been married for 31 years. Baba Shuri. So we raised two great kids, adult children. We have two adult children, and one live in Chicago and one live in DeKalb. So my daughter is here with us. And we moved in DeKalb 26 years ago. My wife was going to school here, and she ended up coming with the kid and living from Chicago. So we moved in DeKalb because it was convenient. So she didn't have to drive from Chicago to DeKalb every day. She was going to know that. So that's how we moved to DeKalb 26 years ago. So I'm currently working at NIU. I've been working at NIU for 16 years, and I also graduated from the same institution. And I received a bachelor degree in operation management and a master degree in management information system. I attend a local church here. It's called Cathedral of Praise, where I'm a member of the council. I'm also a member of the prayer team, and also the leader of the married couple. I've been married for 31 years, so you see the experience. And also, I also were responsible of the benevolent fund, which is set to help the people in the church and also the people in the community when they need help. So, growing up, I saw my parents helping others in need. They would bring complete stranger in the house to have a home cooked meal, and sometimes they bring family members or friends to live with us until they get on their feet. And even though they didn't have much, but they have a heart for people. So this is where I draw my passion for helping others and make a difference wherever I can. So we've been living in DeKalb for 26 years. So during that time, I have noticed that the sense of community is lacking. And it was a shortage of activities and a little support for local businesses. And I'm being big in local businesses. And I believe that the local businesses are the driving force for the community. And also, as Maya Angela said, if you don't like something, change it. If you cannot change it, change your attitude. So since I don't want to change my attitude, I decided to change things. Okay. So that is why I'm running for mayor of DeKalb with a new vision, making our community stronger, safer, and affordable, and build a place where everyone feels like they belong and proud to live in. I believe that a strong community provides a sense of belonging, support, and shared identity. A safer community provides a greater sense of well-being, encourage social interaction, boost property value, attract businesses, improve mental health, and encourage residents to freely participate in activities without the fear of crime. And a more affordable housing community improves quality of life, provide better health, economic stability, and economic community development. So the reason why I run is to make the DeKalb a safer and stronger and affordable community. And
Time.
it's not about prestige.
Time. Thank you to all the candidates for enlightening us. Okay, we're going to start with the first question. We'll go to Colin Barnes, and the next round of questions we start with Barb Larson. Again, everyone will rotate so that we give them each an opportunity to go first with the question. So the first question is to Colin Barnes. What is your opinion on requiring renters insurance for tenants, or should it just be a recommendation? How or should this be promoted or enforced?
Great question, and it's perfect timing. So December 22nd, we had a fire in our community at the Tri-Frat apartment building. Alderman Walker and I were there firsthand, seeing it all just unfold. And what happens in a fire like that, first you make sure everyone is safe, right? And our fire department, I have to give so many kudos to. They did did an incredible job making sure everyone in that parking building was safe as the number one priority. When we walked up on the scene, it was chaos. It looked like chaos, sorry. In our fire department, once we got there and learned from the chief what was happening, we realized it was just the absolute semblance of order, and that's why nobody was hurt in that particular fire. Then after the fire, everyone's displaced. So we took everyone to a local church, tried to make sure, feed them, get who's been affected by this, all those things. But then the reality comes of what now? December 22nd means snow, cold, wind, and they have nowhere to live. So we worked, and I'll give Bill Nicholas a lot of credit. He helped drive this, making sure that everyone was housed, and also the Red Roof Inn did an amazing job making sure everyone was housed. But when you think about it, what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of people in our community that live paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a lot of extra funds that are out there. What we saw that night is that particular landlord required renter's insurance for every one of their tenants. And every one of those tenants had it, which meant they had the funds to be able to have housing. They had the funds to be able to get some semblance of what they need, whether it's food, clothing, in order to hopefully enjoy their holidays, at least a little bit, in light of the travesty that had happened in their lives. I'm a big believer, having seen that firsthand, that I think renter's insurance should be required in the city of DeKalb. But what I also know is I'm not a property owner that rents to a lot of people. So we've already started some conversations with Dara on what does that look like. So we'll be working with Dara on just that.
Thank you. Carl Larson?
And just to add a name to the Red Roof Inn, Vicky has been a saint to everybody that night, an advocate for them afterwards, just an angel for everybody from that horrible night. And the boiler that went out as well. So she stepped up to the plate twice. So if you have people from out of town, send them to the Red Roof Inn, they'll be taken care of. I agree with the mayor that we need to have some kind of regulation where renters have to have some kind of insurance. We've been talking at council, there's this company called Lemonade that you can get. We're not talking like a $200 a month insurance policy for a whole house liability stuff. It can be as little as $5 a month, and you get the bare minimum, but you might get enough money so that you can have a place to go as you figure out what your life looks like after an event like the fire at Tri-Fair. So I would be very supportive of having some kind of regulation and just to support everybody who lives in DeKalb. Thank you.
Michael Ember?
Well, I agree with the mayor, and I think it's important that everybody has a renter's insurance. It just should be required. There should be no questions asked. And otherwise, it protects the landlord, it protects the citizens, but also one step further, there should be some training within the residents of how to react in fire, and whether you have some of the new fire code things that are happening right now, it should be part of the residents' responsibility to understand how to protect themselves from fire. There is something the fire department now has is a cone that fits under the hood, which if the fire starts in the oven, it just sprays foam right over it. These are little things that we need to do to enhance the light quality so we don't have this fire damage, because it takes it beyond the needs of what we have in this town. But yes, everybody should have some kind of renter's insurance.
John Walker?
So I had mixed emotions about this because maybe a year and a half ago, there was a fire over on Kimberly. And that's when I brought it to, I brought it to Dara, I brought it to Will Heinisch, and him and I discussed, why people should have renter's insurance. I had a fire. I lived in College Square Apartments back in '96. I had to go out on top of the building with the fire department. And that kind of shook me up, and I lost everything. Luckily, I have a great family that was able to help me, give me the things that I needed to survive. But some of these people, they don't. They barely can, pay rent. They barely were even up to date with the rent. And I just hate sometimes how things have to happen, the way they happen before we hop and we jump on it. We need, like, right when something happens, we need to figure out right then and there how can we make it better for the next disaster to happen? I mean, my wife tells me, you know, I'm sorry, my wife Amy, I didn't introduce her. This is my beautiful wife Amy. I want to get that out. But why do we always have to be, you know, reactive instead of proactive? I just feel like if we could have, you know, pretty much dealt with the first fire, got this on the floor then all those people, and I don't think they all had it, because I know a lady who didn't have it, but most of the people did have it. But I just think that we could have been a little bit more proactive and pushed something through to where everybody had to have insurance, and all those people 100% would have had it. That's all I have to say with that.
Kwame Sana.
Okay. So what I have to say about that is, you know, when we hear about rental insurance, we automatically think about fire. But it's not about fire only. It's flooding, it covers everything else. So I think it should be required, but not a necessity. It's going to be up to the landlord what they decide, because the landlord also have bill to pay and have to fill up those spaces. But according to me, it should be required, but also left to the appreciation of the landlord to decide if it's required or not. Because it's not only about fire, but it's also about flooding and different things else. Because it protect the renter, the tenant, I'm sorry, and also it protect the landlord. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. The next question will start with Barb Larson. With retirees having 70% of the nation's wealth, what could DeKalb do to retain and expand DeKalb retirees in our community?
Well, I think we've actually taken one of the first steps, and I believe Mr. Granger was here. I've talked to quite a few people in, like Tilton Park, they raised their family there. The house is now bigger than they need, but there's no place for them to retire to. So they're kind of stuck. They don't want to leave DeKalb. They don't want to go. They're not quite ready for an Oakcrest or whatever, but they don't want to another town. And to have a senior over 55, that's what they're looking for. And so I was so happy when it came before council that we're going to have in River Mist an over 55 place for people to choose to stay in DeKalb and to retire here, because both my kids live here. I'm not going to be looking for someplace somewhere else. I want to stay here. And so many people are like that, which says a lot about our city, that our kids are staying here. But we need places like that to encourage them, and back to our lower tax rate and an affordable place for people to live on, maybe a fixed income for retirees. So I'm hoping that will help. Thank you.
Michael Embry.
Well, in order for us to get the people to come here, especially the seniors, first of all, it has to have affordable housing. And when you start looking at upscale housing at $350,000, $400,000, that's a little high for some retirees. More importantly, if we did have affordable housing for the senior market, we don't have the social services for senior market. What makes Del Webb successful in Huntley? They have a center for the seniors. They have a variety of activities. They have indoor swimming pool. They have a lot of activities. They're not just going to want to come and live here and go visit the grandchildren. They want to be able to do something, or they will move away. And it has to be the problem. The cost is also, you know, we need to look at affordable housing for the adult senior population. $350,000, $400,000 is a lot of money. And people tell me, well, they're coming out of Chicago, they're selling a $600,000 home. They want to come out here. I'm not for sure we have the shopping. I'm not sure we have the social services that will attract those kind of activities. And we've already seen it. People are leaving here in droves. 43% of the people who moved to Sycamore are from DeKalb, Illinois. People are leaving the state. People are leaving the city. One is taxes. As much as we talked about taxes here, taxes are not as low as we want to think they are. We're still the third highest tax county in the state of Illinois. So there's a lot of variables in order to want to get the seniors to want to come here.
John Walker.
Now, this is what I'm talking about, organic growth. And Mr. Roby is 73% of the nation's wealth, not 70. So, yeah. So, but no, this is beautiful. This is what we need. This is what we need. Think about all the disasters that's going on West Coast with mudslides, fires, global warming. Think about Florida, all the hurricanes. My brother-in-law just lost his house in Florida. Guess where he wants to come back to? Think about what we have here. Right now, Illinois is pretty much the central part of the nation. Think about it. We have the number one natural resource, which is water, right? So think about this. If you move from Florida, or you move from Wisconsin, or sorry, not Wisconsin, but California, where do you want to go back to? You want to go back to where there's water. And guess what? We have Chicago that's an hour and a half away. And we have NIU that's down the street for your lifelong learners. And we have, man, sports teams, we have everything that you would want right here in the central part. See, I think that's what people try to misconstrue sometimes. Like, we have a lot of good services here, and sometimes we need to diversify our property tax base with people with money, because that helps the Sycamore Road businesses. That can help the downtown businesses. You have to bring people that honestly want to spend their money. Real quick, your grandparents know, you guys spend $4,000 per grandkid. Just so you know, I looked at the numbers and I saw you smile, so you must know it. $4,000 per grandkid. And guess where all that money is going to go? It's going to go on Sycamore Road. It's going to go to our downtown. Think about it. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. We can't always subsidize areas with TIP and things like that. Thinking outside the box will get you to where we need to be. Trust, and I got a plan for that as well. Thank you.
Modification around 70%. Okay, Kwame. Sana, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, for me, I see it differently. When I'm in age, when I get into age of retirement, of course, I would like to move where it's warmer, right? So how can we keep, this range of citizens in DeKalb? So we have to create some kind of incentive or tax break or something along the line. So if elected, I will work with the city manager to see how we can provide tax break, meaning like is a cap or freeze the tax for senior citizens to kind of retain them over here. Because nobody wants to stay here, it's cold. So you gotta give them something that can retain them here. And I believe either what I mean by freeze the tax break, meaning like let's say at that age, maybe the tax the tax is maybe 6%. So that would be capped at this 6%. So making them stay here and feel like give them a reason to stay here. So that's what I would do. Provide a tax break of cap or freeze the tax to make them stay here. That's what I would do.
Cohen Barnes.
Huge topic. Senior citizens are as diverse as everyone in this room, ultimately, at different economic levels. I spoke in front of Club 55 just this morning and talked about just a great group of people engaged in the community, here, present in the community, and wanting to do more and wanting to be a part of DeKalb. But there is a segment, definitely, that we have a gap in, and it was mentioned about Brian Granger. His project, which is a 55 and older project, came before City Council, and we voted in for it and approved the zoning for a development like that to get built. But the number one limitation for that project to move forward is the property taxes in the city of DeKalb. Right now, that has been frozen. We've been trying to work with the school district to see if all the taxing bodies together can come together and actually act in the best interest of a project that will benefit our seniors, but the project that will benefit this entire community, because a lot of us are raising kids, they're gonna have kids, we're all gonna be grandparents some days, and I don't wanna leave. I wanna stay here. We're seeing seniors go to Sycamore for those developers. We're seeing them go to Genoa. So we need to make sure that we have the ability to be able to retain those seniors, because they do spend a lot of money. There is no doubt about it. They wanna take care of those grandkids. They wanna go out shopping. And Northern Illinois University, there's a trend nationally right now of retirees wanting to come back to their alma mater, to be able to go to the football games, to be able to go to the theater. We need to make sure that we've got a development to be able to retain the seniors that we have, as well as attract others that want to come to this community, come back to DeKalb, and be a part and be present in the city of DeKalb. And I am absolutely for that. I'll do everything I can to try and make that happen.
Thank you for that round. The next question, which will start with Michael Embry. HUD defines affordable housing as housing costs no more than 30%, please don't check me on that number, of the household gross income, including utilities. What may be affordable to some is unaffordable to others. What can be done to make housing more affordable by either increasing residents' income or reducing housing cost? Michael Embry.
Well, it's a dual-edged sword. I mean, you're asking both sides of the question here. And, we need workers as much as anything. We need people who come, younger workers, they can't afford a $350,000 home. So we need affordable home for the working class, not low income, working class. We need that $200,000 home that people could afford to live on. If we don't have it, you're not going to get the younger workers coming here. They're going to live outside of town and come in here. To make a decent living, you have to have two adults working full-time, making $50,000 a year. It's $100,000 to live modestly in our environment. We are a highly taxed area. They're not going to come here. They're not going to work here. They're not going to stay here. And I will disagree. A lot of the university people will not come back here. They don't live here now. They're going to move south. They're going to move out of the state. So if we can't get housing at a more affordable price, we're not going to be able to keep the people. And it's not low income. It has to be affordable income. We talk about little houses, small houses. We need that. Do you need 6,000 square feet? No, you need 1,800 square feet to have a quality life. And that's what we need, something affordable that we can bring to the table.
John Walker.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about this one as well, but to piggyback off what Mike said, he's absolutely right. But the thing is this though, and I don't want to sound harsh by saying this, but you just have to work hard to get to where you got to go. And yeah, I understand, where I come from nothing basically to work my tail off to get to where I go. People can work hard, and I know you have setbacks, but in my area alone, over in Debonair, I've seen a lot of young families with one, sometimes two working parents in the household who are living in a $280,000, home and enjoying life. And I'm just saying, like, I don't understand how, and I don't have a plan for this, but I don't understand how we can make a lot of houses $130,000 and $150,000 with reducing the property tax. It just doesn't work because now it seems like the more you work, the less you bring home, and that doesn't make any sense. So that's a real hard one. That's a real tough one because it's like you can't dumb me down where we're trying to go. And I'm not saying that because you don't make any money. I'm just saying you can't always lessen things because here it is. Taxes are going up, but it seems like money you get is going down. And I would be a clown to sit up here to tell you that I have a plan that bring that in because it's almost impossible. You just got to work hard and get a great job and just come out here and live in Debonair and Seventh Ward where the rest of us are living, and just prosper that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Kwame, sign up, please.
Okay, this is why I'm running for mayor, to make our community affordable. So I believe that the affordable housing work in hand with the income. But it doesn't matter how much you make. If there is affordable housing in the community, regardless of your income, you'll be able to purchase. So I want to encourage DABA when they build to make sure they provide affordable housing. So if I make $100,000, I should be able to get some kind of housing with the kind of income I make. If I make 200,000 or 400,000, so I believe they both go hand to hand, because the community also, the community development also attract businesses to the neighborhood, to the community. So how that work is also increase disposable income. So when you have disposable income, you got more money to spend. So you increase businesses in the community. So the business get to prosper, and it also helps the city make additional income through taxes while the businesses are coming here. So I believe they both work hand to hand. They boost economy, they provide community development, and affordable housing, provide better health. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Colin Barnes.
Definitely a complicated subject, and there's a lot of factors involved. the state of Illinois. State of Illinois just approved or just modified the requirements of what it takes to actually build a home. So our builders now have to make homes more energy efficient, right? More green, all those things. Great, love the cost, 100%. What that did now is it just made the price of building a new home more expensive. So we can talk about trying to build $100,000 or $150,000 home for our community, but what the reality is, with building materials the way they are and requirements with the state of Illinois on what you can actually build, that is getting more and more difficult, which means it has to be subsidized, a particular subdivision like that, which now kind of gets very difficult for the city of DeKalb, which has limited funds, to be able to subsidize those particular programs. So for me, what I've focused on is what we can control. And what we can control definitely is property taxes. That property tax rate, as values of homes have been going up, like Alderman Walker was saying, it's getting more and more expensive, right? But if we can hold that property tax rate and make it where people pay less dollars, or at least hold the amount of dollars that they pay out of their pocket, that is one of the ways that we can help achieve or help affect affordable housing. But ultimately, there's only so much a city can do. And that's why it's really important to understand the different factors that are out there, what levers you're able to pull as mayor. And that's something I've been able to gain that experience over the last 4 years, and then focus heavily on those particular issues. So when you hear us talk about property taxes, when you hear about affordable housing, to me, they're absolutely tied together. And that is something, as I continue, hopefully, being mayor for the next 4 years, I will continue working with all the taxing bodies to drive our property tax rate down as much as we possibly can to make it affordable for everyone. But then let's not also forget about people need good jobs, right? So we gotta be able to attract more businesses, which we've had a great success rate doing, in order to come to our community, which are better paying jobs for people, which helps make it more affordable to live.
Barb Larson.
I'll tag team right on to the mayor. Those property taxes and how our government, how our city government works, that's what encourages developers and businesses to come to DeKalb. Meta watched our council meetings for probably a year before they chose DeKalb. They did their homework on, is this where we want to be located, where we want our employees to be located, all that stuff. What does DeKalb have to offer? So as the city and part of the workings of the city, we want to be business friendly. So on top of getting our property taxes lower to encourage businesses, we want businesses to come here and say, it was so great working with the city of DeKalb. They were meeting with us. We got this permit. We got this. We got that. Slick as anything. Love it. Highly recommend. And then secondly, we're not developers. The city does not develop land. So we can't go out there and build these houses. We have to encourage developers to also look at DeKalb as this is a place. And if we can somehow, like with the water hookup, we've eliminated those again for a while to encourage new building here. So you don't have to pay an extra surcharge to get a hookup to your sewer and water. We're trying everything we can do to make it friendly to the developers so that businesses come, they bring new employees, and then you have the housing for these new employees. But so much of it goes back to that tax rate. How much of that people look at before they make a choice of where they're going to build a new development.
Then, can I ask Glenn, a second, over here?
Oh, sure.
I'd like to ask Mr. Granger one quick question. What is the cost per square foot of new construction?
Mike, Mike, I appreciate that. That would be out of order in terms of
I'm
protocol.
just asking, it's
Okay.
a simple question,
I
cost-wise.
I understand. We got to keep it moving and keep it fair to everyone. So, but it's certainly a question you can engage him with at the conclusion. Okay, moving on. This question will start with John Walker. How can we continue the trajectory of decreasing the property tax rate for residents in DeKalb, for a resident in DeKalb?
Good question. Well, I think first thing we need to do is find a way to make minimal or no impact for the school district. I think that's the one thing I would definitely want to try to do. it's just, that's a horrible plan, you know, can you repeat that question one more time?
Sure. Okay. How can we continue the trajectory of decreasing the property tax rate for a resident in DeKalb?
Okay, we have to diversify and increase the property tax base. And I think one of the main ways is with Brian Granger's 55 and over retirement homes. I mean, we have to bring money into the city in order to make it run. There's no other way around it. You have to figure out things. You have to think outside the box. We can't just keep on worrying about, commercial development, which every city and state should always definitely want that. But you have to think outside the box. We have to figure out how we can get people to want to move here, but we have to have things in order for them to want to move here. And I believe that 55 and over retirement community is something that I'm very much looking into, and I'm very much engaging with that, because I think that's a way that we can bring money into our town. Thank you.
Kwame San.
Okay, to me, I believe the way to reduce property tax rate is to keep working to bring businesses here. The more businesses we bring here, that will contribute to the tax to increase the revenue for the city, which also in turn also help the city reduce the property tax. The other thing also is if we have an affordable community where housing is affordable, it's safer. We have a safer community and a stronger community. All of these together we work to bring businesses and people to the city, increase the population, and also increase income, increase the businesses. So when all this happen, we can also reduce the tax rate because we got more revenue coming, just like Meta came over here and all the corporation came. They help the city bring down the property tax a little bit. So if we continue in the same way by bringing corporation, businesses, and increase the population, which will also increase the amount that will bring in, so we can kind of reduce the business taxes. I mean the property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Corn Barnes.
2 minutes is tough.
No.
So I've spent the last 6 years of my life directly involved in this particular issue when I was president of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, now mayor is the last 4 years. Creating a business-friendly environment is critical, absolutely critical to attracting new businesses to come here, which will pay additional property taxes. And different businesses. Meta doesn't employ a lot of people, right? But they definitely pay a lot in property taxes. And that's how the school district can benefit from the development that's going on out there without having the addition of all the kids associated with employees at an organization like that. So when we look at who we want to attract to our community, we're pretty specific on the type of businesses that we're looking for. But Meta is just not going to come here because, oh, we've got some farmland. We have to make sure that we've got the infrastructure in place, the water to be able to deliver to them, the sanitary district to process the water that they use. Electricity, all those things. Even this week alone, I'm meeting with ComEd and Oprah Paris to discuss bringing power to the city of DeKalb to be able to generate what they need to continue further economic development on the south side of town. Meeting with the governor's office this Friday to talk about that same issue, to accelerate the pace of making sure that we have the power. But ultimately what I'm trying to communicate is we have to have the right infrastructure. You have to have incentives. So incentives to attract them away from Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin. I've been in the boardrooms downtown Chicago talking with these entities. They are looking for specific things. We are checking all those boxes right now. It didn't just happen. It took a lot of work, to building a lot of relationships, working with the state of Illinois, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to make sure that we've got the enterprise zones, we've got the mega site grants, we've got the workforce to build those buildings, as well as the workforce to be able to employ in those buildings. We gotta have good roads, we gotta have good schools, all those things. Right now, I'm proud to have been a part of what we have built in the city of DeKalb in order to attract corporations like Meta, Amazon, Kraft Heinz, Farrar Candy Company, and we'll continue.
Time.
Thanks for the non-keep.
No problem. Okay, Barbara Larson.
There's two ways to increase our revenue, and it's either residents or businesses. And there's no way the current council is looking at the resident as a cash cow. We are trying very hard to alleviate and ease up your tax burdens. So that means it's economic development. But there is one more small thing that I'm starting to hold up the sign for. It's a few years early, but I didn't realize how much the census and not having everyone fill out their census costs all of us. Because we'll collect gas taxes for our county, but it doesn't go right to our county. It goes back to Springfield, and they took this whole big mathematical formula based on our census, and then they send it back. So we're sending more money down there than we're getting back because our census numbers went down last year, or in 2020. So I'm just trying to talk to everybody. When that census starts again in 2030, everybody fill it out. They get more money, or they get more information from these things than you'll get from the census. And if everybody fills them out, that is a way to keep more money in our county without negatively impacting our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Start with John Michael Embry, sorry.
You want to repeat that question one more time?
Sure, yes. Sure, I'll get my place here. How can we continue the trajectory of decreasing the property tax rate for a resident in DeKalb?
It seems the whole panel here went a multiple different directions here, but it's not only the tax rate, it's bringing people to town, it's bringing industry to town, it's lowering the tax, it's living within our means, making our three major agencies, the park district, the library, and the school district, cut back, live within their means so we can afford to keep our taxes at a reasonable level. You know, we can't keep adding on. And every time those agencies see a new business come to town, they see a new piece of action. Instead of lowering the taxes, they want more input from their money. The other thing we're forgetting too is, not only bringing people out here, bringing new business, but our tourism dollars continue to grow. Millions of dollars have come to DeKalb from our special events, whether it's a university football game or whether it's a concert at the Egyptian Theater. That's new economic money that comes here all the time. It's free. It's free money that comes to our town, whether they rent a hotel from Vicky at Red Roof Inn, whether they eat it at the Junction or Fatty's or whatever. That's brand new revenue. That's good stuff. So we need to project ourselves as a visitor-friendly city. And if we don't, we're going to start losing part of that revenue, which is a good chunk of money. So a combination of a multiple thing. You can't pinpoint one thing to get this tax level back to where it needs to be.
Thank you. We will start the next question with Kwame Sanan. Question is, what can the city and or police department do to help remove squatters that are not on a lease?
Well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I always wonder why even it's allowed for a squatter to even be in the house. That's the first thing I've always wondered why. They don't pay anything. They just see you left the house. They come and just take the house. I mean, take hostage of the house off the hostage. So I never understood that. So what I will do is first see how we can change the law first of the squatters law. That would be my first initiative before I even get to the police. Because if the law is not in place, the police really don't have any recourse to get them out. So I will first see if we can pass a law, especially maybe for DeKalb only. I don't know how this works, but it's something we can look into. And then go from there and then have the police reinforce the laws that will be put in place. So that's what I will do.
Thank you. Juan Barnes.
Yeah, ultimately, like every situation that you've got in a community, it's identifying what the problem is, who it's impacting, identifying what the laws of land are and how they can be influenced change with city council. And also more importantly, you've got federal and you've got state. And a lot of times we are impacted in our ability to be able to do certain things within the city of DeKalb because we have inherited certain laws at the state level or at the federal level. And this is a perfect example of just that. For me, the first thing is ultimately you always got to get educated on whatever the issue is and working with those that are closely related to it. I imagine the squatting situation is less about homes and is more about apartments in our community. And that's where working with organizations like DARA that we have here on what issues you're seeing, how often is this happening, what are the obstacles you're running into in order to reclaim your particular apartment, so then we can work with our police department and work with city council if it's a law that we can change. For me, I would absolutely be in favor of making sure that it is not legal in the city of DeKalb for a squatter to take over a particular apartment or a house. So I would be definitely in support of something like that.
Thank you. Barbara Larson.
And I believe the city council in the last few years, with some other issues that landlords have, we now have crime-free housing. And so a lot of that is so that you don't have to go right to the police and a big issue, that maybe there can be some kind of mediation. There can be sometimes it's just another renter is afraid to say something about this squatter, that they're going to get repercussions and they don't know what to do. And with crime-free housing, they can reach out to that, to Bob Riddell and say, can you mediate? Can you go in and say that there's an issue and different things like that. So it's not truly about the squatter issues, but DeKalb has already seen that there's a problem with some of the renters yet, and so we're trying to offer support. So anything we can do within the framework of the existing laws that we're bound, federal and state, we're trying to help as much as we can.
Michael Emery.
Well, I think Mark said it as well as Cohen. We have to abide by the laws. We have to abide, whether it's local, state, or national laws. We have to abide by those laws. We cannot continue to have that kind. It sets a bad precedent, and it makes that apartment owner look bad by having squatters in their apartments. So we have to find out what created that and how to prevent it in the future. And the best thing we can do if we have a squatter, find somebody with a barking dog and have them live next door to them for about a month, and we'll get rid of it.
John Walker.
Sorry, John. Oh, wait, barking dog, what kind? Cane Corso, Pit Bull? No, I mean, I'm just gonna, just pretty much say the same thing they said. First of all, we can't just make up, rules on how to deal with squatters. We should deal with them by the laws that we already have. We should act, accordingly and aggressively. And like Mayor Barnes said, we definitely, and Alder Lady Larson, we definitely need to, within city council, be able to, change some policies in dealing with them. If the state doesn't have, harsh rules, because I don't understand why squatters do what they do. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we started with Connie, so we're into it with John. All right. The next question will go to Colin Barnes. What can be done to grow retail and commercial businesses and diversify our tax base?
This is in many ways it's the same scenario around property taxes and attracting new economic development to help lower our property tax rate. You have to have a business-friendly environment in the community. So when someone comes to DeKalb and wants to open up a business, what is that experience like? When they come down to City Hall and talk to Dan Olson, our community development director, what is that experience like? What I have made sure, and Bill Nicholas, our city manager, so whoever knows Bill, I gotta give him 90% of the credit of all the success that we've had in the city of DeKalb. It's that man for sure. But Bill has done a great job, and I've been proud to be able to support his efforts on when someone comes into City Hall and says, I wanna do X, the answer is yes. Let's sit down, figure it out together, and figure how the city can be a partner in whatever your endeavor is. Now, obviously, there's some things that don't belong in the city of DeKalb, and we'll make sure that those don't come. And we just passed an ordinance, or we just had a discussion at City Council about just that fact. But it's all about the attitude within the city itself. Can someone get the building permits they need? Can they get them quickly? Can they get the advice that they need? Can they find out quickly if what they want to do is allowed or they're trying to build something like that? When they actually get the permit, how quickly can code enforcement come out and check and make sure that they continue moving forward on the project? And how flexible can code enforcement be? I know there's a lot of builders out here where it's nice when you've got a city that everything isn't just black and white, it's gray. Where we can have those conversations and we can figure out how to make a development, make a business successful. So we need to make sure that the city is always focused on being business friendly. Safety is always important and one of our #1 priorities, but be business friendly. And then also, people. We talked about the 55 and older community. Those people spend money. We have to create an environment that is attractive to people wanting to come and live in DeKalb and spend money in DeKalb at the new businesses that come, at the existing businesses, to help diversify that revenue stream as well. So it really just comes down to the experience that they have. And we have a reputation in the city of DeKalb right now to be incredible business friendly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barb Larson.
Part of the things that we've done in the last 4 years on city council is trying to get properties more, what do I want to say, pretty, or where people will look at them. So like Hunter Hillcrest that was mentioned before, we spent the money, we purchased it, we cleared it, it's ready for development. It's much easier for a developer to see the potential in a piece of property that's this beautiful swath of plain open grass and not some falling down strip mall. So that's one way is to do that. In downtown, we actually have an architectural fund. So for businesses who might have an old non-compliant bathroom that has to be ADA compliant, or they have brickwork that has to be fixed, or whatever, we have this program that will go, it's like either quarter or half or whatever. It's based on whether it's a safety issue or just a pretty issue, but to help businesses do well in downtown. And if you notice, we don't have very many empty storefronts anymore, and they all look pretty dang good. A third thing that we do is we have tip programs, which I know, oh my God, not tip, but they help at the South 4th Street. It has looked the same. We talked about this at council since I was here in college, 78, that's how long ago. It looks the same. And organically, it just wasn't coming to its full potential on its own. So that's why we were looking at doing a TIP district down there. So to me, there's 3 different ways that council has been working to make parts of our city more accessible to developers to come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Embry.
Well, in order to get people to come to town, they have to have a reason. First of all, you talk about special businesses and wanting them, solicit them to come to town. If we don't have the right business, people are not going to come. The second part of the story is we only have 40,000 people in DeKalb. That's not a lot for some industries or small business want to come to town. Thirdly, when you bring a business to town, we have to open our arms, and Glenn said it pretty well. We have to open our arms, but we also have to make sure we have some financial incentives for them to want to come here because they know that first year is going to be difficult. So we need to look at that. But the second thing is to drive traffic. You can have the nicest little store in town, but with no traffic, you're not going to be here that long. And we're not talking about the strip malls. Strip mall's a whole different environment. And if you really understand the strip mall situation, every one of those stores, they're here for 3 years until their lease runs out and they move on. If we have a new shoe store, we'll have a new whatever kind of store. So in order to get the people to come to our mom and pop, we need to be more efficient in helping them as far as a business, as far as rules and regulations and permits. I think Glenn brought it up pretty well. We have to be able to do that. More importantly, let's not forget the existing business owners. That small hometown business person who brought us to the dance. Those guys and gals that have been around here with a nice little shop for years, we need to go back and support them just as much as we do just introduce new business come to town. We need to reinforce and love and care for those existing businesses.
John Walker.
Hey, I'm gonna piggyback off what, Mr. Embry said. You know, and this is dear to my heart because all those mom and pop businesses, those are the people who have helped raise me to become who I am. And it seems like when we start getting all this extra, development, which we need on the south side, we forget about the Dutton. We forget about, the sports of all sorts. We forget about things of that nature, but we have to remember, those are the people who bridge the gap to get to where we're at right now. And I think sometimes, when we start, trying to talk about the microcosm of the world and how things, differ from some other things, one thing I want everybody to understand is those small businesses are fabric of the community. And when we drive past and you don't see those storefronts like they need to be, that does hurt us. And like Mr. Ripley said, it's like, what's going to get people to stay here? And I know I keep pushing this 55 and over retirement community, but you guys have to remember, they bring in revenue. And when you bring in revenue, you create a different property tax base. And what does that lead to? That leads into money getting spent in retail shops, more restaurants. So I think sometimes, like I keep saying, you have to think outside the box. You can't keep doing what everybody else doing because then we would never prosper ahead of people. So, thank you.
Kwame Sanan.
Okay, if I understand correctly, the question was to, what can be done to diversify the return, right? And reduce our property tax rate. Right? So if that's the case, I would say the first thing to do is to build a strong community. Because once you have a strong community, we get to support the local business. We believe in each other, we know each other. I got to support my neighbor because my neighbor has such business or such company that is managed. So by also building an affordable, setting up an affordable community by building affordable housing. So what that does is it boosts the local economy and increase the disposable income for the resident, and also have a community development which attract businesses and also improve or provide commercial spaces. So when the housing is the retailer or the housing is affordable, so most likely retailer or business is going to come in because now they see that they can afford this facility to bring the businesses. So I think we need to build a stronger community and also a safer community because when the community is safer, it brings more businesses, more people in town, and traffic is getting better, and people support the local business. I'm big in supporting the local business and prioritize local business over neighboring businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue, do we have a total time check? Someone let me know where we're at with the total time. So make sure. Okay, I think we can continue on. Okay, here's another question with percentages in it, so I'm going to say approximately. The city of DeKalb voted approximately 67% to retain an elected city clerk position. To retain an elected city clerk position. This position has no payment or salary. How do you honor the wishes of the voters and get a qualified elected clerk? Barb Larson.
2 minutes is definitely not enough. And don't hold me on my numbers because it's been a while, but I believe since 2000, none of the city clerks have finished their term. Some lasted 2 weeks. Our most recent city clerk came to maybe a handful of meetings, I think I'm being generous, and did not do the minutes, did not do any other things, but he received his paycheck twice a month for doing nothing, and we could not remove him or fire him because he was elected. I have been told, well, if it was a $60,000 position, we would have a good one. And I said, or we'd be paying somebody $60,000 to do nothing. So I guess you can tell what my thought on this is. And the thing is, we're mandated by the state to have these minutes done in a timely fashion, to be posted, all this stuff. And we've had a few things in the past year or two where we've gone back to like 19, 20 minutes that we've had to look and try to figure out. It was a challenge. So to have a professional that knows what's required, what's done, that they're there, that they don't have to take 6 months off to rerun every 4 years. I don't personally feel that there was a need for a city clerk, and that this would be much better held as a professional position that's hired based on their qualifications, and that they know the job, that they have skills to do the job correctly. And so I know the voters voted for that, and I talked to some, and I'm not.
Thank you, time.
2 minutes wasn't enough.
Michael Embry.
That's a double-edged sword. We have a lot of our residents who want an appointed, and a lot of the people who want to elect. And it's a crossover between what we do. The problem of it is the requirements needed for that job are not specific enough, or not posted enough, or dictated enough so that a candidate needs to know you can't apply for the job because you don't meet the criteria. We don't go out and hire a fireman who has no fire experience. We cannot hire a city clerk or even elect city clerk unless they have a certain academic requirement, a certain certification, who have attended classes or have gone to school for that medium. Otherwise, you're electing Tom, Dick, and Harry right off the street. And I have a real problem with some of the time that we get to do that. It's like, I'm going to take a side note here. It's like going on the school board. You know what the requirements for a school board are? There's 3 of them. You got to be over 21. You got to live in DeKalb, and you can't be a felon. Oh my God, that's not a lot of requirements for a responsible job. The same for the city clerk. So we need to find out if we're going to do an elected one, then we have to make sure they meet the criteria that the city needs. And if they can't be elected, they can't even be on the ballot. And if it doesn't find that medium, it doesn't happen, then we have to appoint somebody, because we have to have somebody in that position. But it's got to be kind of an equal medium. So it's a tough decision. I understand both sides of the coin. The citizens want to elect somebody, the city wants to appoint somebody, but they have to meet the requirements.
Okay, John Walker.
So with that, I was one of the council members who voted to give it to the people. Let you guys decide. And I think that's what some people kind of get mixed up. It's not about what we want. It's about what you guys want. And that's why I wanted it on the, that's why I wanted it to a vote, because the thing is this. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be an alderman. But guess what I did? For 6 years, went to go meet Bill Nicholas, 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning at Miranda during his office, and he taught me the ins and outs of government. I did not miss a Saturday. So what I'm saying is, yes, Mike Embry, he brought up a good point. You got to know, the little nuances about the job. However, you can't go to a class and learn how to be an alderman or a city clerk. It's on the job. You got to talk to people. You got to be able to, feel what the citizens want. Because guess what? We don't run anything. We do what you guys tell us to do. That's what we're supposed to do. And I do believe that, the people spoke. We should keep things the way they are, and we need to pay that job going forward. So that's where I stand on that, because you guys spoke. Whether I believe, the other side of it, it does not matter. You guys voted on it. 67% of the people wanted it, was the city clerk, not appointed. They want money to be elected. That's what we need to do.
Thank you. Kwame Sanan.
Okay, could you clarify for me? I believe I heard you said that the city clerk was not a paid position. Is that what you said?
So I will restate the question. The city of DeKalb voted approximately 67% to retain an elected city clerk position. The position has no payment or salary. How do you honor the wishes of the voters and get a qualified elected clerk?
Okay. So, the reason why we voting for an elected position is because we don't want this person which is elected to be controlled by nobody else. That's why we vote. So, for example, the mayor will not be able to control the city clerk. That's why most people want the clerk to be elected. So when I look at the job description for the clerk, I don't see nowhere in there where the mayor or any council member can control the city clerk. So to me, it doesn't matter whether the clerk is appointed or elected. But the thing is, it's a no-pay position. So who will want to do the work? Because there's a lot to do. Scheduling, recording minutes, and do different things. That's a lot to do for someone not being paid. So I would say, if the person is elected, he needs to have a salary to have a good candidate.
Thank you. Colin Barnes.
Alderwoman Larson is exactly right. Takes more than 2 minutes, but I'll try and be as brief as possible. 2009, I think, is the stat since we've had a city clerk that actually finished their term. If I remember right, in 2009, I think it was, don't hold me to it, but they were being paid $60,000+ a year to do the job. And that clerk didn't finish his term. And the next one didn't, and the next one didn't, and the next one didn't. We need to operate as a city. We need, as Alderwoman Larson said, minutes to be provided to document decisions that were made in the city of DeKalb. But what's important to know is we used to have a treasurer, right? We don't anymore. We have a finance director, someone that is educated in that particular role. The clerk role, recording secretary Scott, who we have right now, who has had to assume all the duties of the clerk because that has been such an unstable position in the city of DeKalb, has done an absolutely amazing job documenting all of our minutes throughout the history of the city of DeKalb. So as Alderwoman Larson mentioned, we can go back and get that data. Our last clerk said, see YouTube. That was our minutes, right? This job requires a paid professional that has expertise in this particular role. To have an elected person just arbitrarily be able to get this role and have a salary, which we've seen over and over and over again, hasn't worked for the city of DeKalb for whatever reason. So it used to be paid well, and it didn't work. So that's why we're at a point where it's not paid. All the roles have been assigned to the recording secretary, and that position is doing amazing things at this point. And I also want to comment that idea of the clerk needs to be independent. You elect 7 council members and a mayor. There are 8 elected people up there to represent your interests, to represent and hold accountable city staff, to make sure they're doing the right things, that the integrity is there, that there is no fraud. That is already all being done. What we need is someone that does an amazing job in the role of clerk, and we have that right now as an appointed position.
Okay. Thank you. The next question. Do we have the correct mix of rental versus owner-occupied housing? How can how can we stimulate single-family residential construction? So I'll read it again. Do we have the correct mix of rental versus owner-occupied housing? How can we stimulate single-family residential construction? And I will start with Michael Embry.
That question threw me off. Thanks. That's hard for our environment here because DeKalb is a whole different environment than any other city. First of all, we're laced with a lot of apartments that were originally built for students. And so that changes the dynamic right there. The quantity of student houses we've had, although we've lost some due to fire and a few other things, but we have an inordinate amount of apartments. Do we have the right kind of housing? No, we don't. Do we have the right availability for housing? No, we don't. Look at the number of houses that are sold here. We are one of the smallest sale house according to Zillow in the county. We have the smallest growth of homes in the county per capita. Every other town in this county has had more homes built than the city of DeKalb. Malta, Genoa, Sycamore, based on Kappa. So is there a reason why we don't have those homes? Do we have to have more apartments? Do we need a certain number of apartments? Maybe we need affordable apartments for workers. Don't have a problem with that. But who are going to build them? Who are the Grangers, or who are the other people here that are going to build those kind? Chuck Shepard, you want to build another apartment? I don't think so. So I don't think there's a real quotient that we have to have. There isn't a pecking order. There isn't an exact number. It's just what will meet the needs. I think the population will meet the needs of what kind of housing we need.
John Walker.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Happy to. Do we have the correct mix of rental versus owner-occupied housing? How can we stimulate single-family residential construction?
Well, I mean, we are a college town, so let's just throw that out there right now. And that's, not even counting, kids. That, it is what it is. Sometimes we just have to make sense of what we have. And the only way, well, let me back up a little bit. So we live in a college town, and we have a lot of vacancies that I've seen just by working, that, we have apartments that need to be filled, but I think the problem is, we're just not generating enough revenue in our town to be able to build. And like Mayor Barnes said, everything has went up when it comes to cost, to build these houses. So I don't really understand how, we honestly could build $150,000, $175,000 homes right now when, the money's just not there. The tax rate is just not where it needs to be. The property tax rate is not where it needs to be. But we always have to remember, we live in a college town, so yes, we're going to have apartments when it comes to, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, yeah, this is a real hard, this is a tough question, and I don't know if there's really a right or wrong answer to this.
Okay, Kwame Sanan.
Okay, good question. So I'm thinking that, well, when I look, I cannot tell. I don't have the statistic for it. So I like data, but I don't have the statistic to say there is more rental or owner homeowners. But when I look, I don't see if they're capable or not. But what I will do, and what I will say to DABA to do for the big houses, to make sure they provide affordable housing. So we can increase the affordable housing supply, and also have a community land trust, or even inclusionary zoning. So I believe if we do that, we can kind of make it equitable. So the city can also decide or set policies that will have DABA when they build, or any other company when they come and build, to make sure they provide either apartments or housing or single home housing based on the community land trust and the inclusionary zoning. Thank you.
Colin Barnes.
In some ways, a loaded question. I think what we're supposed to infer from that question is, do we have too much low-end apartments in the city of DeKalb? I'm not going to go down that particular path, because ultimately, to know what is the right mix, I do believe as well that that's a tough one to say. John Pappas is building a lot of high-end luxury apartments and filling those over and over and over again, because that's a trend that's happening in the nation. That's what the market is desiring at that time. Northern Illinois University used to have like 26,000 students. Now they're down to 15,000 students, or right around that number. That did create a vacancy in our community. As was mentioned, these are apartments that were built for college students. It used to be a vibrant college community in the Annenberg North area, and that has ultimately changed. What's important is, to me, it doesn't matter who's here. It doesn't matter if they're in a house or in an apartment. They are part of our community. They do belong here. They're part of the city of DeKalb. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that we're creating a safe environment for them. We need to make sure we're creating all those things, cool and fun things for them to do, as well as everyone else in the community to do, just identifying that particular lower end housing that I know is the root of this particular question. Ultimately, this is something that we can continue to work on from the standpoint of that diversification, just answering that question. Bringing in more housing starts, as mentioned, we haven't had a lot, but this year was a record year for the city of DeKalb. We had, I think, about 55 new permits issued for building new homes. Ryan Holmes in the 7th Ward is building house after house after house. Finally, we're at a point where, because of the schools that we've built, because of the hospitals, because of the economic development, the jobs that we've created, all those things, we are actually attracting more people to our community. Whether you live in an apartment, or live in a house, isn't a priority to me at all. I just want to have good, hardworking people live here in the city of DeKalb.
Thank you. Barb Larson.
Just kind of a statement that I learned becoming second ward alderperson is that Section 8 housing, it's not like anyone can just say, I'm going to go do Section 8 housing. We are limited. There are rules and guidelines about how many units, and we just can't willy-nilly change those. So those are kind of set. And that Section 8 housing, that is the area that people who are really trying to live the American dream, to work hard, to move up, that's the support that they need to be able to do that. Do they all succeed? No. Do we all succeed? No. But we have to have that to help those people. And I have been out at Welch Park for the fun nights that the police department has put on, talking to residents with the University Collaborative. And there's stories about they started at University Village and now they own their own house. And it wouldn't have happened without University Village. So we need to have that. And they're a vibrant part of our community as well. There are success stories, there are potential, there are workforce. Let's not forget about this is people who are also doing the jobs that a lot of us are, well, I'm not gonna do that job. They're doing it, and that is fabulous, and that's their hope. Secondly, and I agree, COVID changed so many college towns. My kids both went out of town, get away from mom and dad, Iowa, University of Illinois. I still get their stuff because I want to hear what Urbana and Iowa City's doing. Same problems. Big Ten schools, same problem. Not as many kids on campus, remote learning. So those cities are having the same issues about empty student housing that we are. That's not an answer, it's just we're not alone.
Thank you. Okay, the next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you do one more question, and then we got a couple more from the audience.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Last question from my prepared set of questions, and then our prepared set of questions, sorry. And then I've got two from the audience. Okay, the Human Relations Commission has not met in over a year. Should this commission continue? Why or why not? John.
Bingo. Waiting for that question. So that's where I started. I gotta thank, Terry Smith. He kind of got me, involved in this. I sat down with him one day. Well, no, I gotta go back. Frank Roberts got me involved in this, and that's where I made my start. And I feel like we've done a lot of great work with the HRC. We established a lot of good rules in Chapter 10. That's tenant and landlord agreement. Was able to do a lot of good things for that. The HRC is a real critical thing that we need here in our area because, they dissect a lot of some of the issues that we have in our town that, city council may not be able to touch. So I honestly think that the HRC really needs to be implemented, as of yesterday. And I just believe that we're doing the city a disservice by not having a board to be able to, break down some of the things that go on in town. So I definitely believe that the HRC should be up and running, and we should get that going as soon as we possibly can. And I mean possibly can.
Thank you. Kwame Sana.
Okay, obviously, if they haven't been meeting for a whole year, there's a date for them. That's how I see it. Because how could you have a committee that doesn't meet? That means there is nothing for them to work for or work on. So to me, I would say have it quick. I mean, if they don't meet for, if they haven't been meeting for a whole year, there's no need for them. That's what I would say.
Glenn Barnes.
Well, this one falls completely on my plate. So the Human Relations Commission that we have at the city of DeKalb has been around for a long time. And when I took the office of mayor, there's 9 active commissions that we have right now in the city of DeKalb, and that's over 60 people that volunteer for those particular positions. And believe it or not, they don't stay forever. They come and they go. And what's really important as well is you need to get fresh blood into different commissions. Our community consistently is changing, right? So it's great to have new eyes, new perspective, new thoughts, new ideas. And I've been doing that in a lot of our commissions, as well as decommissioning some of them, like our Economic Development Commission. We weren't accomplishing anything when we met because we were doing so many great things from an economic development perspective within the city of DeKalb. So that commission, one of the things they would do also is hear police complaints. So something I'm proud of is I created a new commission when I became mayor, and that's the Citizens Police Review Board. That gives residents the opportunity, or citizens the opportunity, to be able, if they felt they were treated unjustly with the DeKalb Police Department, that they could go to an independent board, submit their complaint, and that group can actually look and review what transpired and either support the police department or make a recommendation that more should have been done with that particular officer in that particular incident. So all that transpired. I rotated out some commission members, one that was on there for 19 years, right? So it definitely wants some fresh blood in there. And then there was this idea about this sense of belonging in our community. And there's a great organization that has been focused on the teachings of Dr. John Powell. And it is about how you can co-create a community together and how you can give it where everyone has a sense that they belong. So I worked with the Belonging Commission, talked with their chair, and I really wanted to figure out, could we actually evolve the Human Relations Commission into a Belonging Commission? Now that takes a lot of time because I'm dealing with volunteers and their sicknesses and everything else in their world, right? But ultimately the point that we're at right now is, do we keep the HRC around, and who's going to be on it, what their mission's going to be?
Thank you. Barb Larson.
And all these commissions, they don't really have like power. So I'm on the Environmental Commission, and they come in with fabulous ideas, but there's not a lot of money, if any, attached to these commissions. It's more like at least with the Environmental Commission, it's like minds, what would be great for the city, what could we do? But there's no money attached to it, and so we're trying to figure out if it's even worth coming before council. And meanwhile, we have a city employee that has to come to all these commission meetings and write agendas and take minutes and notes and everything. And they are just kind of there. It's like data that nobody looks at or it gets any farther. And so a lot of the commissions, as I'm looking at them, it would be better to be a grassroots, like if you want to be like a Greenpeace or Earth Day kind of thing, go on your own. You can maybe get money from Meta and different things and really not be tied to the city. So I have a mixed feeling. I love what the commissions do, but then I don't know what they really do. I know they have great ideas. It's kind of like a brain pool, but I would like to see, I think this might be the time where more might be done if it wasn't attached to the city part of it, and let the grassroots work.
Thank you, Michael. Embry.
Well, part of the thing is that the commission, as people grow older, we all know this, the older people do not want to be involved. They don't want to spend the time, they don't want to come to meetings. I saw Jennifer shake her head, nobody wants to do that anymore. And so, are the commissions viable? Yes, some of them really are. Some of them aren't. We lost the Liquor Commission, we've lost the Human Relations Commission, we've lost several of them. But one of the things that we might want to start pursuing is going to our university and our community college and say, we'd like to get the young people in political science, we'd like to get the young people involved in some of our local commissions and give them experience. And maybe that would be a nucleus to get started. You know, we don't need all old people. As I look out this audience, almost 50 shades of gray. We need some younger people who want to get involved, who want to do things, who want to be participatory. And they won't get the experience unless we give it to them. So that might be an avenue to pursue, you know, and maybe cut the commissions to 5 people, not 7. But, you know, those things are very important. We need to look at it and need to evaluate it, and we need that response back from the people. We can't always rely on the mayor or the city council or the city manager to come up with all the answers, whatever. Some of those people come up with some pretty good ideas, and that's for our future. It absolutely is our future.
Thank you. So, I promise this question wasn't, this is from the audience. The timing of it after his comments are interesting. So, the question is, how can we engage our younger citizens in getting more involved in city government? Someone in the audience wrote that, so very interesting. Okay, so this question will begin. You're the lucky one to pick this one up. So,
Who asked this question? Well, I believe that younger people are vibrant, they have a purpose, they want to do things, they want to be involved. So, especially students at NIU, I think they have talent and skills there that can be used by the city. And anything we can do to bring them on board to participate in the city businesses and business, and I think it would be great. So, I guess that's kind of what I can say. That's what I can say. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Colin Barnes.
I would love to see our youth more engaged. One of the great things about being mayor is you get invited to our schools all the time. I mean, elementary school where you're reading a book to students. I was in an elementary school classroom where they were asking me questions about my job. And it was just fascinating to see from an 8-10-year-old's perspective what mayor means to them and the questions they would have. But I think it takes a lot of us gray hairs and others actually taking the time to invest in them as well. Be present in their world, be present in their life. Let them see who you are, what you stand for, what you think. Have that relationship, because you never know in a classroom of 15 elementary school kids, which one you might make an impression on, who might maybe not pursue a political career, but might pursue, I'm going to be involved in scouts, and I'm going to volunteer with mom when she goes to whatever it may be. I think that's our responsibility to make sure that we're present and engaged with our youth. But I'll also comment on Northern Illinois University and the students there. I'm in front of them all the time for a variety of speaking engagements and talk about my role, more talk about what's going on in the city, how it impacts them. Every time I leave, I am invigorated. Because with them, a lot of us are cynical at this point, right? We're tired of things, tired of no change, whatever it might be. Them, it's all possibility. So I think engaging the youth, it's not just great to get them inspired to be able to hand the baton to the next future mayor or the next future executive director of a nonprofit, the next Chad Glover. I think what's important about that as well is it's good for us, it's good for our souls, it's good for how we think, how we approach perspectives when you're around those youth and you have that idea that everything is good and it is possible.
Thank you, Barbara Larson.
I don't have an answer. I know 4 years ago when I ran for this office, it was my 37-year-old daughter who said, Mom, DeKalb needs a good person in second ward. And I said, your dad's not retired yet. And she said, no, I was thinking of you. And I'm thinking, but you're like 35, no kids. I'm like, you got this. You would be great. And I wouldn't say cynical, but I think between social media and different things, the young people are so off balance so much with the news that just comes at them like 24/7. And that's not an answer, it's just what I see, and, because I look and I try to come up with somebody who's not as old as we are. And they're just, just not, they care. It's not that they don't care, but they just, their lives are what they just unsettled, and they're just not ready to take on another challenge. And so I don't know the answer, but I too wish we had more young people involved.
Mike Embry.
Well, the young people are out there and they want to be involved. And Penny, don't leave yet. I want to make a comment here. So, we have to get people involved and going to schools, talking to people. Cohen mentioned it. On Veterans Day, I go talk to people all the time. They like hearing about the veterans. I know Mayor Smith is talking at schools. Patty, who just left here, she takes her dog to one of the schools and reads to kids. And the kids are so fascinated why she sits there with her little dog and she reads to them. So they're looking for that attention. They're looking for that positive adult inspiration. And sadly enough, we don't have it through all our population. We don't have all good mom and dads here. We have a lot of single family homes. We have a lot of kids. These kids are looking for something. They're looking for an inspiration. They're looking for some kind of divine guidance to become better people. And so we need to look out to that. Also, as Colin mentioned, we need to go to college, the university. We need to get those more involved in our community instead of a good chunk of our students are now commuter students. They're not even in the community. We want to keep these kids in town. We want to get them involved. We want them to talk about local issues because that's the only way they're going to learn because we're sure not learning it at home.
John Walker.
So about a year ago, I got a call from a good friend who was a professor at NIU and asked, could I come talk to some kids? So I did that. And I'm so happy that you guys came out because these are two NIU students that I've been engaging with for close to a year. They help me with my campaign team. They tell me what DeKalb needs for kids. See, we get it messed up. We tell kids what they need. These young men have done so much for me with my thinking and how to be able to improvise when, things are thrown my way that I can't handle. These are the kind of kids that we need for the next part of our lives. No one asked them to come here. They called me and said, we want to support you. But the thing about good men like this, they are going to lead our world one day. And I'm just overwhelmed by some of the things that they put in me, as far as this, Alderman Walker, you want to do this and that. College kids need something to do here in DeKalb. So quit trying to look handsome at the council meetings and try to find, us something to do. Sorry, Mr. Brown, I told you that. But it's the truth. And Cohen hit it, Mayor Barnes hit it right on. I mean, like the things that they talk about, I'm just like, how do you know these things? And me personally, I'm going to engage with, more of the friends and Reverend Wright back there, the football coach back there, the pastor. And I think that you would definitely understand what I'm saying as well. These kids are more brilliant than we could ever give them credit for. And we need to stop telling them what they need out here. We need to start listening to them so they can tell us what they need out here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have one last question from the audience, and then we're going to wrap this up. So the end is near. Okay, so the last question, which we'll start with Owen Barnes. What is the best way to improve the Greek Row community?
As mayor, this has been a topic for a while, and I mentioned removing Hunter Hillcrest was a significant undertaking and something that was really important for that entire neighborhood. And to be clear, I believe Annie Glidden North is a mixed neighborhood of families and students. And the students are just as important as the families that live there. Greek Row is a place, a physical place, obviously, right? But ultimately, the same things that our students want are the same things that our families want. They want a grocery store, let's say. They want things to do. They want safety, definitely above all things. And I think we've done a great job at the city of DeKalb to really work towards trying to make that neighborhood as safe as possible, including what's great now is the evolution of that Greek Row, where now city council, we have approved Northern Illinois University purchasing a large tract of land on Black Hawk Drive there to build a new center for Greek life. That will directly impact Greek Row and the students that are in those houses. But the reason I was so for it is it goes beyond the kids that are in those houses themselves. Greek life at Northern Illinois University is large, very diverse, and not everyone has a house. But they are an organization of students that get together that have higher GPAs, higher graduation rates. They are involved in the community because that's part of Greek life for them. So making sure Greek Row and now the Center for Greek Life is a viable presence in our community, not just for our university, but for that neighborhood, I think is a critical component. And I've been very happy that council has been helping us move forward, improving the life of the students that live there in the Greek houses, the students that are in the area, and indirectly, that also helps Northern Illinois University in general. Man, 2 minutes.
Barb Larson.
I used to live at Greenbrier and Russell, and I lived on Kimberly when I was at NIU. And I also would walk to my job at the junction. I'd walk home at night at 2 in the morning, different times. But that was Greek Row. It's always been Greek Row. And as the mayor said, I'm so excited about this Greek life facility because a lot of the fraternities and sororities who are of sororities and fraternities of color, they're first generation in college. They don't have a parent like, what did you do when you were in college, Mom? Or like, tell me like how you figured things out and studied and different things. They have nobody in their families to go to. They might not even have friends who have been lucky enough to make it to college. And so their fraternities and sororities are the support that these students need. And we, by letting the university buy this piece of land, it'll be the next support, especially for those fraternities and sororities that don't have homes, their houses. Well, they are their homes when they get here on campus. So I think it's very important. They have stayed through thick and thin. When things got really sketchy on Antiquated North, and there were some really sketchy times, their houses stayed. In fact, there was a couple houses that were ready to leave. And the mayor and the city manager said, give us a chance, we're working on it, and they stayed. So they were as committed to that as their home as anybody else's. And I think it's just another diversity, and back to why I chose DeKalb. I love that the university is here.
Michael Embry.
Would you restate that question, please?
Sure. What is the best way to improve the Greek Row community?
Well, first of all, to understand the whole Greek society has declined immensely, not only here at Northern Illinois University, but across the nation. Young people are not involved in fraternities, they're not involved in sororities. And the limited ones that are, how much investment do we want to make in them? Especially in Northern Illinois University, with a greater percentage now are commuter students and don't live here anyway. We do have a lot of fraternities, sororities that are social fraternities. I know the School of Music has a music fraternity, but they're housed right there at the School of Music. So to want to expand something that really doesn't exist could be very questionable, and especially when you look around the country. The Greek system is not growing. It's moderated at best, and in some areas declining. So how do we spend it? What do we do? I think we need more evaluatory and more research before we start investing in something that really doesn't exist.
John Walker.
Well, I was gonna cut to the, the elephant in the room. That area, let's just be honest, it's a high crime area. What Greek student really wants to live over there when, people were getting shot, people were getting stabbed? I mean, that's just where we're at with it. So I think First, we need to have, our police, patrol the area more than they do. Get out, squad cars, be seen, start talking to all the kids. And another thing is and my wife can definitely attest to this, with all the colleges we've been to watch our son play football, when we go to some of these other Greek roads, it's just Greek road kids. It's not families, mixed into there. It's just they have their whole branch. They have parties, they're throwing football, they're doing things of that nature. Here, honestly, I just think that, the crime in that area, kind of lessens that whole area up. And that's just what it is, whether, you want to believe it or not, that's my UPS, area. And I go into some of these buildings, there's kids smoking weed, they're shooting dice, and, they look at me like, I need to get out of their way. So I think going forward, we have to secure that area a whole lot better than it has been. I think going forward with that, we can work with NIU, come up with some comprehensive plans to, make that Greek area be, kind of like a Georgia Tech that we've seen that we love. Or I grew up down the street from Butler University, and man, sometimes you got to keep the college kids separate from, the families. That's just that's just the truth. Whether you guys want to believe it or not, that's just how it is. But crime still is a big, problem in that area, and I don't want to sugarcoat anybody acting like it's all, cleared up, because it's not. It's simply not. I think once we get a handle on the crime in that area and those police get out there and we know all the people that don't really need to be there, it'll be a lot better in that area.
Carmen Sana.
Okay, this area, I don't know if I see right, but when I drive in this area, I don't even see any more fraternities home. Why? It's because I believe the area is really needs security. We need to improve security in this area. So I will not really focus on the fraternity homes, but I will focus on the area. We need a police presence in this area. We need to improve security. We need to talk to landlords also in this area to make sure whoever they're taking the building need to be there. So it's very important to do that. So that's what I would focus on the security in this area. And if you guys remember, it used to be a restaurant, a nice restaurant in this area there. I believe it was called Fanatico. And every time I go there, it's like, even though the food was good, but it was barely anybody there because it was a security concern in this area. And I don't know if that's what they closed, but I'm pretty sure it was part of it. So this whole area needs to be improved by security. We need a police presence in this area. And then I believe from there, and then also the landlord do what they need to do. And this area, and then also I believe also we need to bring also some restaurant and activities for people to do in this area. So that's what I will focus on: improve security and try to bring restaurant and businesses in the area to kind of beautify the area and yeah.
Thank you. So we now are at the point where we are going to, after Q&A sessions are finished, which is now, each candidate will be allowed to present a summation of positions or to clarify a particular response. No summation may exceed 3 minutes in length. So the next person who would be up in the summation would be Barb Larson. So Barb, if you have a summation, you may deliver it now.
A couple of things that came up during our talks was about taxes, of course, several times. And just to be clear that council has no control over park district or school board or library or any of those line items. In fact, the mayor and the city manager have tried to talk to those groups. School board, I know quite a few of council members went to some of their meetings. It's been about a year ago, trying to encourage them to not go for as much money as they were asking for because they were actually making more money, but they saw that. Anyway, so just to be clear that you know, we can't control all the light items on your tax bill. We can just control city. So that's the first thing. The second thing was about Annie Glidden North. I make sure I drive home that way a minimum of once a week. We have done so much there. And the changes were, I'll admit, when I first took office, driving down some of those roads, even at 3 in the afternoon, I was kind of like, there's all these people kind of standing around. You go there now, we have made cul-de-sacs out of several of the roads, which makes neighborhoods, because people are like, whose car's coming down here? Because they know it's not just a straight street anymore. It dead ends. And it's created little communities. It also, license plate readers, I know that was like, oh my God, we're gonna get all our back tickets caught. That's not what it's about. It's about stopping criminals from even coming back to DeKalb as an easy mark. We're not an easy mark anymore. We're gonna catch you and stop you before you even do something stupid or illegal. So that's been a big deal. So Annie Glidden North, does it have a ways to go? Yes. But if you drive down there, there's been some great changes made. And the shots fired, you don't hear that every morning, even on nice days. So I think we've made some changes, and I hate to not be aware of the good that's happened in DeKalb, and that we're getting better. We still have a ways to go, but we're on the trajectory of getting to where we're a safe community where people want to run or raise their kids. Thank you for listening.
Michael Embry.
1985, when I left the university, we had a bustling community, growing 26,000 students. We had a good school system within the city. We had our downtown area was full of mom and pop business. It was a vibrant and growing community. 40 years later, it's not the same. We are not the same community for a lot of reasons. For some of the reasons, we've lost half of our student population. We're less than 12,000 students at NIU. And a good chunk of those are commuter students no longer living in town. Recently, just a couple days ago, a new report came out that the spring semester, another decline in enrollment at NIU. This is not good. This does not help us. This is part of our economic growth. We talk about growth, spending of student money. It's not there. You know, the president of the university said, well, we're down in enrollment, but we're up in diversity. That doesn't help economics here, folks. We need more college students. Our school district has driven away a lot of people, not because of the quality of teachers. We have great teachers. We have a terrible administration, absolute terrible administration. And when people come to town and say, I'd like to move to DeKalb, the first question the real estate agent says, do you have kids? Oh yeah, or you don't want to move to DeKalb, you want to move to Sycamore. There's a challenge. That's a challenge for us. Our schools have not kept up. 1984-5, they were all in 5 and 6 ranking, and they are now 2 and 3 on the 10-point academic scale. Our crime rate has accelerated to where the point people don't want to come out here. And you might drive up that area, but I have people in town say they will never drive on the northwest corridor of our community because they're scared to death. I live near that area, and every day we hear gunshots. When I first moved to DeKalb, Illinois, to hear a siren, I was like, wow, that's kind of, country town. Now, if I don't hear a siren, I'm more concerned. We've got some problems. We have to address them. It's time for a change. It's time for us to get serious about our community. It's not going to happen by osmosis. It's not going to be happening of thinking you can bring a mega company in here and we're going to bring all these extra taxes. That's not going to work. We have to be able to give our citizens something to look forward to. We have to be able to retain our young adults, and we have to be able to promote our current businesses. Without that, we're going to keep going in the wrong direction. Oh, and one other thing. We've got to get the council members out in the community talking to people. And I'll tell you, all the people I talked to around the area who said, I don't even know who my alderman is. I have no idea what ward you're in. I'm not even sure what ward I'm in. So there is a lack of communication from that standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. John Walker.
All right, first of all, just thank everybody for listening. You know, I've been waiting for this for almost 5 years. A little bit nervous, but I'm just gonna be just cut to the chase. Crime. Like everyone wants to act like, yeah, we've done some great strides. I get it. Crime. Crime's the biggest issue. That's just what it is. We have, you know, thanks to city council, you know, we put a lot more police officers, you know, on the force and we got them out there. But at the end of the day, it's crime, people. Like, you can't just keep always wanting to just sweep things under the rug and say, hey, you know, this is good, but, you know, no, it's not good. I have a 15-year-old daughter here. I'm petrified at DeKalb High when she goes there. I don't know, you know, when I hear, you know, sirens go back and forth, I don't know, you know, what's going on. Like, it's crime, it's our kids, it's our community. That's where the focus needs to be. I hear all this NIU stuff. Yeah, I support NIU. My wife graduated there, my son played there, but I care more about the DeKalb citizens. Like, when do we get back to that? Like, when do we get back to what do our citizens want? Who cares about our citizens? You know, NIU is great, don't get me wrong, but at some point, we have to make the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is always having safety for our citizens and being able to prosper together as a community. That's the only way we strive for anything. You know, it just makes sense to do it that way. So at the end of the day, you know, thank you guys for coming out. Now that you guys know me, just call me John, the UPS man. You know, and hey, like I said, I love working in everybody's ward. Please talk to me about your ideas. I'm always here to listen. Hey, I would like to think I'm the hardest working older person, as Bill Nicholas. I'm the first text in the morning at 5 o'clock, and I'm the last text when he goes to sleep. My wife, you know, had to go through my phone and make sure I was texting Bill because he was calling or texting him at 11:30 at night. Hey, I think I got an idea for this. So, hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Take a word at a time.
Kwame Sanhai.
Okay, my turn. So first of all, I want to thank everyone tonight for listening, and I hope that tonight paint a picture of myself and give you enough information to know who I am and what I stand for. So I came out of nowhere and decided to run for mayor because I want to make a difference, and I want to make change where it needs to be made, and I bring a different vision, which is build a stronger, safer, and affordable community. And I do believe in that. And I also believe that the key for growth in DeKalb is the local business. So we need to emphasize the priority in local businesses and spend locally instead of going, spend our money in Chicago or Naperville. So I do believe that if you vote for me, I will be the mayor that everyone knows. What I mean by that is you will see me. I will organize meeting, meet with the community, hear what they have to say, take that in consideration and make decisions. So nobody will be left out. Everybody feels that they've been heard. And I'm committed also to a collaboration. I love collaboration because this is how you know what to do when you need to do it. By listening, by hearing. Because most people in the community feel like they're not being heard. We make decisions and they don't know why the city make those kind of decisions. So I'm committed to listen, to hear, to act, and to do what the community said to do. So together, I believe we can build a community rooted in love, unity, and shared responsibility to ensure a brighter future for DeKalb. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
And Glenn Barnes.
So I want to take a couple moments to, when you run for office, you have to say I a lot. Kind of sucks sometimes because it's not I, it is me. And we mentioned the fire on December 22nd. We mentioned Red Road, we mentioned Vicky. Take a moment, I'll take some of my time, and there she is right there. And give a round of applause for this woman. She stepped up, making sure everyone on the fire that night was taken care of, regardless of money, regardless of women's insurance. She just said, I'm gonna house everyone, we'll worry about this another day. That was impressive. I also want to thank, I've got fellow council members here. I've got Alderman Zazada, Alderman Powell, Alderwoman Larson and Alderman Walker that really helped everything I've been talking about, saying I. It's been we. What I've had the privilege though, and also Mayor Smith, my predecessor is here in the audience too. I and we couldn't have done half of what we did without the leadership that we had previously at the city of DeKalb to tee up a lot of the things that allowed us to run that particular time. So thank you, Mayor Smith, for everything that you did. So now I have a little bit more time. There was not enough time to communicate answers here. There's not enough time to summarize. Many of you know me. You know you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to expand on anything. But what I will tell you is, think of DeKalb 4 years ago. Think of it now. Sometimes we have short-term memories. We forget what things were like. We really try and remember what downtown was like before lanes and autos being dilapidated, the building that I'm in, all those things. It's like now. When we talk about safety, think about what safety was like. The shots fired that Alderman Larson mentioned. I don't get those texts anymore. I don't know about you all. We have made significant change. Property taxes being reduced. All those things have happened. What I'd love to have is 30 minutes to tell you truly what all has transpired over the last 4 years. And I'd love more time to tell you about what I'm going to do. But what I'll share with you is I've been on a journey the last 4 years. I've given a piece of my soul to this community. I have been present. Every community, every area of our community, all the different, whether it's students, whether it's Annie North and the University Collaborative, I have been present and I will continue to be present. The reason is, again, DeKalb has been so good to me. I feel I owe that back to the community. I owe it to all of you that in my role, in the leadership role I have, there is we that makes it happen. But in this role, you've got to make some hard decisions. You've got to make decisions that anger people. I think I've done a pretty good job, 9 times out of 10 or more, that ultimately it's a decision that has helped us got us to move forward since the last 4 years. So I appreciate your support. I would appreciate your vote. You can go to voteforbarnes.com for more information. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you. Well, I just have some very brief remarks. Thank you to our audience, to all of you, members of Verandas and the people that candidates that spoke tonight. This was an incredible event, and hopefully all are more informed and educated on your choices. Special thanks to the DARA and DABA board for all of your efforts in producing this event tonight. It has been my absolute pleasure serving as the moderator. Hopefully, you will all say that I was fair and treated all candidates equitably. Please have a safe, healthy, and successful rest of your year. Reminder, March 20th, we will be back in this place for the Meet the Candidates night for the school board. Again, thank you for your time. Good night.